Hi again, Yuki here with part 4 question mark? 1, 2, 3, 5, part 6. I can't, wait, no, it is part 5. Alright, anyways, I went over a little bit, but basically she found, or I found, some documents for Anderson Toys, and then there's this little thing that flashed that was red, but I don't know who that's for. I still need to figure it out. But anyways, back to this, because apparently this is going to be really important. One icon, however, stood out from the rest. Brago? I hope I said that wrong. Right. I double-clicked the icon, but no window came up. Instead, I heard a large click come up from the drawer that was locked. What the? I slowly left my seat and walked over to the drawer, attempting to open it again. It slid open smoothly, and one in the direction of my pulling hand, revealing 2 books. One was a plain black journal with a tie to keep it closed. The other was bound in leather with the cryptic symbols all over the cover. I took out the journal and skimmed through it, seeing my grandfather's notes. They were all detailed explanations and opinions on his findings on demon magic. He really did know about magic. I sat down on the desk and read through the journal further, finding drawings and sketches of symbols and magic circles, each with their own different meanings and effects. It was all fascinating. There was even a page of important spells to know. I read through them, trying to memorize them into my mind. I don't know what came over me, but I started to feel more energetic and more powerful simply reading my grandfather's notes. I was suddenly aware of the energy that surrounded my body and the power that was around the house. The more I read, the more powerful I became. However, my mind suddenly froze and I found myself walking back to the drawer, putting the book back and closing the drawer. The lock reset and I snapped out of it. Huh? What? I shook my head and looked at the drawer, realizing what I had done. I walked over to the desk to reopen the lock, but suddenly felt the need to stop. Something held me back and didn't want me to pry any more than I already had. I was curious beyond belief, but I obeyed my thoughts for now. Eventually I would come back and look into it. I returned to my bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try sleeping again. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday, and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes. Back to sleep. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breathing. I looked at my phone to check the time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I had slept for much longer. Why is time going so slowly? I sighed, got changed into normal clothes, and went into the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, the muffled sound of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went to the backyard in response to the noise I had heard. Ooh, pretty. In the yard was all 5 of the boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle, with the other 4 surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. Don't disturb them. Just watch. I just watched. The boys were very much in their own world, focusing on the training they were all in. It was better not to disturb them. I checked the time and decided to head inside the kitchen. I was getting hungry, and I'm sure the boys would need to eat soon, so lunch was a must. Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make... I'm sorry, but I'm gonna make it simple. Cold cut sandwiches. Because why not? I assembled simple ham sandwiches for all of us. After I poured some potato chips on the side of each sandwich, I felt satisfied. Who said lunch had to be cooked? I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focused on training. Nope, I'm gonna go look for one of the incubi. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I looked down each hall, trying to find one of the incubi wandering so that I wouldn't have to go through each individual room finding them. I pursed my lips in irritation. Where the heck are they? I sighed, knowing that I would have to search for them in each room. I quickly turned and headed up the stairs. I began to walk down a hall and opened a random door, peeking inside. Luckily enough, I found Damien in the study. Damien was in my grandfather's study, which I had explored not long ago. Despite not only being there a short while, Damien looked like he knew this room from the back of his hand. Damien was gazing at the pictures and books on the shelf, almost looking lost and dazed. It was almost adorable, but I could sense a small hint of sadness in his eyes. Damien?
Huh? Oh, hello.
Damien turned to me and gave me a gentle smile, as if he was doing nothing as I came in. I entered the room and closed the door behind me.
I was just looking at the books. They're very interesting topics.
Huh? I looked over the shelf and skimmed over the spines of each book. They were all books about business and psychology, all ranging in thickness. Some crossed over and brought the two topics together, while others were strictly one or the other. Did my grandfather read and study all of these? They seemed used, but they were covered by a small layer of dust.
Do humans really study this much?
Occasionally. It depends on why we're studying.
What do you mean?
Well, if we are interested in a topic like business, we learn what we can because we want to know more.
Are there things you can't study?
Nope, there are books and stuff about anything and everything.
Even the demon world?
Maybe, but usually those books are considered fiction or religious theory. It was almost cute to talk about learning with Damien. I guess learning was different in the demon world, but telling him about learning was almost like telling the child the meaning of life. I felt myself become a little wiser as we continued talking.
Humans can learn anything? At any time?
Mm-hmm. We have libraries and bookstores full of books we can read.
Humans have the freedom to learn anything.
Aww. I just remembered the talk about having to work under someone. I wonder who that someone is. I looked to Damien in confusion. He seemed to look jealous. What about demons? Can't they learn what they want? Damien shook his head before looking down at his feet.
Demons don't have schools to learn from like humans do. Everything we learn comes from experience or verbal mentoring. Books are only permitted to be read by higher nobles.
Aww. I stared, wide-eyed. There were no schools in the Abyssal Plains? That seemed so unreal, yet in a way, I wasn't that surprised.
The only ones who have ever touched a book are James and Eric, since they're the oldest. Sam and Matthew chose not to read.
Oh. What about you? Damien stood silent for a bit, before sitting on the ground, leaning against the dark desk in the room. I decided to follow along and sat beside
You
him.
brought food?
Yes. Huh? Oh yeah, I brought food. Here.
Thank you.
Damien took his dish of food and began to politely eat. I followed suit. It was painfully obvious that he was dodging my question. Did I want to know? I was very curious. Ask again. I'm sorry. You're really gonna get mad at me. Yes. I was curious, so I had to ask. However, Damien looked to me, stopping me from opening my mouth.
Because I'm technically not a noble at all.
I tilted my head and raised an eyebrow in confusion. Not a noble, but aren't you all brothers? If others are nobles, that would make you one. Damien took his dish with a sigh. I suddenly felt regret for asking and pushing the topic. Before I could apologize, Damien spoke.
We are all half-brothers. We only share the same father. Our mothers are all different. James, Eric, Sam, and Matthew all had noble mothers who are now queens. My mother was not a noble, and is not a queen.
I'm so glad I picked you, Damien. I could see sadness in Damien's eyes. I bit my lip. I shouldn't have pushed the issue. I'm sorry. Damien shook his head, snapping out of his thoughts, and smiled at me.
For what? You didn't know, and were curious. It was only appropriate to answer.
Still, it was rude of me to pry like that. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Damien only smiled lightly at me before continuing to eat. As he ate, my mind began to wander to the Abyssal Plains. What was it like? What did it look like? Was their castle big? How many servants did they have? My thoughts were halted by Damien chuckling, most likely at my thoughts. I turned red in embarrassment. Sorry.
You keep saying sorry when you don't need to. It's kind of cute.
I pursed my lips but couldn't stop a blush from running across my face. This was getting nowhere. I went back to eating in futility, earning another chuckle from Damien. However, as a groan of pain escaped Damien's lips, I stopped and looked at him in surprise. Damien, are you okay?
Yeah. It's nothing. Don't...
Oops. I heard him gulp down and hide another groan, making me more concerned than before. Damien...
It's just a headache. I get it when I run out of energy.
Oh.
I'll be fine.
He was out of energy. I guess he didn't take enough when we first met, so it was just enough to heal his wounds.
None of us took more than we needed to heal.
From the sound of his voice, he was fighting back major pain. I felt incredibly bad. Damien smiled very lightly at me.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. If he needed energy, I was willing to give it. Damien instantly turned away from me before I could finish my sentence.
No!
Wait.
I'll be fine.
Did I get
I'm used to this.
Used to it? Used to pain? There was no way that was okay. I glared at Damien's back before grabbing his shoulder and forcing him around. Damien stared at me wide-eyed in surprise. Damien, let me help you, please. I don't want to see you in pain like this. I continued to stare at him, wondering if he'd make the first move. I wanted to help him, truly. I knew that my energy would help him not feel pain. Damien must have heard my thoughts, as his gaze changed from nervous to piercing. Oh. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Damien wrapped an arm around my body and pulled my body tightly to his. Damien grew a lustful gaze before speaking, bringing a hand to cut the back of my neck.
Thank you.
Before I knew it, Damien pulled me into a gentle but passionate kiss. Heat erupted through my body as my knees are given out. No. As his kiss slowly and almost timidly got deeper, Damien kept an arm around my waist while I rested my hands on his chest. The energy from my body was slowly draining in the kiss, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and how willing I was in this situation. Still, I had no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. Damien was a wild card. I didn't really know what to expect from him in his kiss, and his kiss was no exception. Damien wasn't forceful, but his kiss was deep and passionate, and it felt almost magical. It was how I imagined the first kiss to be like, except with energy drain. Soon though, the energy drain stopped and Damien gently pulled his face away to end the kiss. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I'd never kissed like that before, and I was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Damien moved a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear, eyes still full of desire.
I'm okay now, but I
should probably go leave now. I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. I opened the opportunity I was enjoying as much as he wanted. I wanted more, and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I leaned up and kissed him again. Damien gasped against my lips, but continued to kiss back. And that's where I have to end it because I don't have that much time left. I have to keep it under the 15 mark. Thanks for watching, and I guess this will continue in the next episode/video. Bye!